Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul is fighting in the exhibition fight in November, and it's done caused quite the ruckus within the boxing world. So much so that the talk surrounding this event is that it's ruining the sport of boxing. Now, before I go in depth and share my perspective, let me say this. There's one fight on this card that I'm keeping my eyes on, and that's Gary Antoine Rosa versus Andy Hirica. I'm expecting this to be a good fight. Gary Antoine Russell beat the living daylight out of El Rayo for 12 straight rounds. And Andy Hirica, he's a good challenger. I mean, he got a win over Jin Sasaki before he suffered memory loss against Brian Norman Jr. And, he also beat that old man that was giving Rolly problems. So physically, they both match up well. I believe it'll be a good scrap. Now back to the regularly scheduled programming. Is Jake versus Tank ruining boxing? Well, let's break it down. Now the first question that everybody wants to know is why isn't Gervonta Davis running it back with Lamont Roach after the controversial decision from their last fight? Is Gervonta Davis scared of Lamont Roach? Is he ducking him to fight Jake Paul? The short answer to those two questions is no. Now, the reason why Gervonta and Lamont Roach isn't fighting was simply explained by Lamont Roach himself. Now, in a separate video, I will go more in depth about what I observed from reports and a recent interview that Lamont Roach did, but the man himself said the reason why he and Gervonta isn't fighting is not because of Gervonta, but because the business side in quotes, of boxing had got involved. Gervonta had already exercised his rematch clause 2 weeks after their initial fight, so the fight was in the process of happening. I mean, you had Stephen Fulton and Oshaki Foster as the co-main event for this event. So obviously it was in the process of happening, but the business side of boxing got in the way, according to Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach also highlighted and emphasized that Gervonta breached their contract, talking about big money being left on the table and fighters' livelihoods as well as their careers being affected due to the fight not taking place on a proposed date. Lamont Roach also stated that he was privy to Gervonta doing another fight well before the announcement came. So with that being said, I came down to two conclusions of the matter. Either Lamont Roach is preparing to sue Gervonta Davis and his team for breach of contract, or Roach has allegedly taken a step-aside offer. I said earlier I'll go more in depth with the specific situation in another video, but as far as Gervonta ducking Roach, that's a no-go. The next question would be, is it valid to say that this exhibition fight is ruining the sport of boxing as we know it? Well, to answer that question, you must provide context. So let's go all the way back to 1976. Now, Muhammad Ali had a few fights scheduled. The list was Jimmy Young, Richard Dunn, Antonio Inoki in the exhibition, and then he had the Ken Norton fight for the third time. Now, when Ali fought Jimmy Young, the fight had a controversial decision which ended in an Ali victory. Now, at the time, and hell, even today, most boxing analysts and pundits thought Ali lost the fight. Me personally, I scored the fight 12-1 for Jimmy Young. I mean, the 13th round was kind of weird. But that's besides the point. Did Ali give Young a rematch after this questionable ending? Not at all. Young actually had to fight his way back up the ranks, and that changed the trajectory of his career. As for Ali, a reporter asked him, would he consider canceling his exhibition bout with Antonio Inoki due to his poor performance against Jimmy Young? And Ali responded by saying no, which prompted a reporter to say, why not? To where Ali would say $6 million, which was the amount he will be receiving for his exhibition fight. Now I bring all this up to say this. Any boxer in the history of the sport will have taken the deal that Tank Davis just took to fight Jake Paul. In this specific instance, the only difference between Ali and Davis is that Davis actually attempted to get the rematch with Roach. To say an exhibition fight is ruining the sport of boxing is ridiculous to say, especially considering that boxing has a history of exhibition fights. It also has a history of mob ties, rankings within sanctioning bodies being allegedly bought and manipulated, bad judging, bad officiating. I mean, hell, just look at the Roach Davis fight. The man took a knee in the middle of the ring and it wasn't called a knockdown. And I believe that does more harm to the sport than Gervonta Davis taking an exhibition fight with Jake Paul. The main reasons why people are upset with this fight taking place is due to these three things. The first thing is people don't like Jake Paul in the realm of boxing. Those reasons may or may not be valid. He definitely has his pros and cons. Him taking this fight with Gervonta Davis is causing more polarization to his code of personality, and it's causing more people to have feelings towards him, which is causing him to get more money and attention. The next of these main reasons is that most people don't believe Gervonta has the resume to pull this type of fight off. And that has some validity to it. When you think about Gervonta Davis' best win, who would you say? Leo Santa Cruz? Santa Cruz is without a doubt the most accomplished fighter that Gervonta has fought. They had a fight at 130, and Santa Cruz had only one fight at 130 prior to fighting Gervonta. So you could say that's his best win, but it's a tough sell to call it an amazing win. Best knockout for sure though. Ryan Garcia? Most anticipated fight of his career, but far from his best win. The fight took place at a catchweight. No title was involved. And Ryan Garcia hadn't and still hasn't accomplished anything in the sport of boxing that would deem him a credible opponent. Now, in my view and my perspective, his best win was against Jose Pedraza. I know. But you got to think about when he fought Jose Pedraza. I mean, Pedraza had a title. He was coming off 2 title defenses, and he was undefeated. And what make the win even great for Gervonta is that he made an undefeated champion Jose Pedraza look pedestrian. The only issue with this is that the fight took place over 8 years ago. It was the last time Gervonta fought a legitimate champion. And the masses is getting anxious on when they'll see that again. At this stage of his career, people don't want to see tune-up or showcase fights. They want to see him fight the best of his era. I mean, hell, the Lamont Roach fight itself was a cherry pick going wrong. So I don't blame anyone for the critique of him not being able to pull this type of fight off due to his resume. It has strong validity to it. But I also understand Gervonta's decision to take a Jake Paul exhibition fight for $40+ million, which is what he's allegedly supposed to make. Now, that brings me to my last point about why people are mad about this fight. And that's because people have this romanticization about the sport of boxing, where they believe that certain fighters from back in the day only fought for the love of the sport. and did it for the fans. When that couldn't be any more further from the truth. Believe me when I tell you this. Every fighter, I repeat, every fighter is fighting for that check. As Floyd Mayweather famously said, I'm a prize fighter. That's what I fight for. A prize. It's why you see Manny Pacquiao back in the ring fighting. It's why the world didn't get a sequel to Leonard and Hagler. It's why the world did get Ali Foreman. So in the conclusion of if this Tank Davis and Jake Paul exhibition is ruining the sport of boxing, the answer is no. The sport of boxing got way more fish to fry than worry about some damn exhibition. Unless a Beyonce Super Bowl 2013 situation happen, you can expect this to not move the spectrum of the sport in any direction. As DJ Quick said, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Fighters care about the dough. They all fight for the dough. And if you don't believe otherwise, then you better do the science.